Welcome to today's Attaining the Worlds Beyond review session. Today we're going to conclude chapter 21, which is correcting egoism. We've been on this chapter for 3 weeks now, and that's because this is one of the longest chapter in the book. And we thought last time that we still haven't gone into the depth of what is covered in this book, and it's very important that we cover them. So today I'm going to kick off with what I call, it's page 287. But before I start, I want to make sure I kind of draw attention to a statement that is made in this book, which goes like this: spiritual growth occurs only through faith. And it says, happy is the man that is afflicted by the Creator. Throughout, we've been talking about egoism, which is perceived as in opposition to the quality of altruism. And of course, we are born and developed as egoists, which then means to do this inversion to altruism can be a pain or suffering when we do not follow the path of Kabbalah, of course. But beside that, it also says in page 287, in all situations that we are faced with, we should strive to see that everything that is coming to us is coming directly from the Creator, and that we should strive to align our points of view, our perception, our thinking, our thoughts and feelings with that of the Creator. I thought, this is a big one. Imagine yesterday someone told me something that I really felt offended about. I was already in disalignment with this rule, because effectively I was not thinking that this has been sent to me by the Creator. I was seeing that individual as the offender right there, and I have to respond. What Attaining the World Beyond is telling us is to do the opposite. The reason being is that there is only one power, and that power is Creator. And that power is good in quality. It is different from us. And what really emerged when I felt offended by this individual was my egoistic nature, which run contrary to the program of the Creator. And this is the challenge that we have to be faced with. And one more thing before I hand over, the book went on to say that there are two stages to correct egoism. Stage one being that everything that we do for the benefit of others without any benefit from it. In other words, we don't want to be acknowledged as the one who did it. We don't want to take any brownie points for it. In fact, we would rather nobody sees us do it if that was possible. Secondly, we must get to this point where we employ egoism to do altruistic work. And it goes on to show us how we should do that. In other words, we begin to take this same quality that stand against altruism to do egoistic work. But I'm going to hand you over to Francis for Francis to tell us his view about this chapter.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. Yeah, from what you said, it shows that the words are carved out carefully, as you said. In all the situations that face us in life, we should strive. The word is strive, and so it doesn't come, easily to a person. A person need a conscious effort, to do that, and that is what leads to spiritual growth. As you mentioned, that spiritual growth is for a person to grow in faith. And I'll read a small portion here. Spiritual growth occurs only through the growth of faith. Spiritual growth occurs only through the growth of faith. And for a person to exercise faith, one has to come to a certain level of trust of the Creator. In other words, there has to be a certain platform upon which one can establish such a faith that you apply In every situation, you see the Creator. You strive to see the Creator in that situation. And as Sheila said, if we get to a point, the 2 points of diminishing egoism or removing egoism. The first point, he says, the book says, either you don't use egoism at all, but I guess that is very difficult for me as a human being or for us as human beings. The second point is that we try to use egoism for a noble cause. We use egoism for a noble cause. In that way, the Creator begins to commit more and more to a person because he knows that if more is committed to the person, he uses it for a good cause. In that way, we gradually change our egoism because I'm not thinking about myself. I'm trying to achieve the qualities and the nature of the Creator to become a giver, literally a giver. In other words, I do not calculate a common denominator. What is in this for me? Rather, I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of others, but I guess that doesn't come so easily to a person. And it takes a bit of time and it takes some strive, as the word is chosen there. Do so?
Thanks, Francis. I want to echo what Sheila and Francis said. We know that in order to change any unwanted state or to correct any unwanted state, we first have to determine that it is unwanted, or the state that we will not want to find ourselves in, the state that is not favorable. So for us to come and say that we want to correct egoism, we first need to determine the root that it is actually unwanted. It's actually the state which we do not want, which we want to move away from. And as a result, then we begin to find ways of actually changing it. It's like there is no need for me to take medication if I do not feel any sickness in me. But after I find that I'm sick, that's when I will take the medication. So the root of egoism, which we need to correct, need to first realize that it's actually have been doing damage throughout the ages, ever since the beginning of time. It's good because it's actually pushing us forward to wanting to change it, because only when something becomes unfavorable or unwanted, it's that time when we want to change it. That's why in one of the great books, I hope one day after reading this, we'll read it also. Shamati, the first article says, none else besides him. There is none else besides him. So if we do not understand or know this concept, we will look at egoism in a linear way to say this is the only way that we can progress in life. But as soon as we realize that every little thing, as Sheila has said in the beginning, comes from this one source, the Creator, who created all things, we'll realize that what we feel as good or what we feel as bad, they both come from Him. Suddenly now our perception begins to change to say, hang on, if they do come from him, then what is the reason that he gives them to us? And why then do we need to change it? That's why this chapter is speaking about correcting our egoism simply by understanding that it also comes from him, yet we need to want to change by ourselves, because if he were to come and download it into us, the corrected version, we would actually never be free of anything. We would be like animals or beasts without any free will. So this is a very great chapter, and I hope you enjoyed it if you've read it. If not, I would begin reading it and sharing it with anyone else around you, because it opens up the brand new world, as the book says, attaining the worlds beyond all our perception of reality. Teles?
So it's a real pleasure to be back here this week, Thuso. I'm glad that you and I could join today. Excellent. Um, you know, it's just exciting. It's just exciting the fact that we can look and we can peer into another world that we don't have access to many times. So, in this chapter, it speaks of concealment, it speaks of revelation. And so, when you are wishing to reveal the Creator, you have to try and attempt to be in bestowal. And in this chapter, it speaks of the obstructions to that, but that the obstructions come from the Creator, and that's it's a gift to you, it's an opportunity to you. Turn to the Creator. So when they speak of turning to the Creator, it's a request, it's a prayer, which Sheila mentioned last week. Actually, Francis and Godfred mentioned it as well. The request to the Creator to help you, because you know you cannot be a vessel of bestowal, and yet you are attempting to be exactly that, the opposite of your nature, which is just to receive. And then they spoke of two components. You can be either just restricting yourself and not receive anything, or you can attempt to receive in order to bring contentment to the Creator, in order to bring um, joy and contentment to the Creator. And it's a wonderful concept. But the reason I'm saying it's exciting is because all of this exploration seems to be happening within you and regards to your attitude to the world outside of you. And it mentions it in this chapter as well. The attitude to the world outside of you is directly related to the attitude to the Creator. And it's a process, step by step, slowly, slowly. It won't happen overnight, but just the fact that you have the opportunity to do so. And then it also mentions in this chapter about having to surround yourself with people that are busy trying to do exactly this as a means to obtain that, to reveal the Creator, reveal altruism, reveal bestowal, reveal love. And you need that because your ego is pretty strong. And our ego works this way. If we see another person leading by example, we want to do exactly that. So if you surround yourself by people that want to reach love thy friend as yourself, love thy neighbor as yourself, it makes it a little bit easier because then the spark in you, this point in the heart in you grows to something bigger, that's stronger, and that's able to oppose this force that they speak of in this chapter as well, the force that wants to separate you, which we've discussed before. That's over to you.
Okay, I'm going to take over from where you said the attitude we have to others is the same attitude we have to the Creator. I thought that was very powerful because it's very often we think, oh, I love the Creator, but I hate these people. No, you cannot hate anyone and love the Creator because the reality is the test of whether you even know what the Creator is how you treat others. Because how you treat others is a reflection of how you treat the Creator. And there is a reason for that, because in this chapter, it tells us about egoism is the only thing that separates us from the Creator. And if we are to take egoism out of the picture, we're already with the Creator. Then we will discover something, and we'll discover who we truly are. Because so far, egoism makes us feel that the I is us, and that I is the egoism. It's a quality that we associate ourselves with, that we have to tear ourselves off. And I remember when I read this bit about egoism have to be teared off. We have to actually tear ourselves off. I'm like, this sounds like an operation, and a serious operation, because it's almost like killing the I, because the I is actually what separates everything from the Creator. And the I is not the Creator. The I is the ego that we associate ourselves with. So in the end, there was another thing that I thought, oh my goodness me. So if egoism was to be taken away, automatically we have access to the wealth. So I realized, oh, now I know the root of poverty is really the egoism. It is not the love of money as people think it is. because it says that if a person was to correct themselves, if everything that they will do for the benefit of others. If when they employ their quality, they will always employ it for the benefit of others, all the wealth will come through that individual, because the Creator will have confidence that the wealth will be used for the benefit of others. So now we know why we have economic problems. It is not because of the love for anything other than the love for egoism. So with that, we close and we come next week in readiness for the new chapter, which is chapter 22. So stay blessed until next week.